part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane,
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
You're listening to the Krypton Report.
It's Superman Blue Tyler live on KR with... You're waking up to KR with Tyler and James here on the greatest podcast there is for DC Comics.
Krypton Radio.
You're waking up with Tyler and the James.
Tyler and the James.
Got your morning coffee and your bagel and donuts right here on KRRR. I don't even know what
Right. Krypton Report Radio.
Dum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Krypton Report. I'm your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue. And as you've heard his lovely masculine voice, James, the Superman of Red.
Hey.
What is up, buddy?
What's going on?
Oh, man, it feels good to be back. Like we talked about just, man, I know, Laura, we miss you, Tim. Never not give her credit.
Yeah.
Between just life and everything that's going on, like it's just been crazy, man. Like, keeping up with everything. So.
I mean, yeah, life for us and life for everybody else. I mean, you know, they've got we got like so little news these days and like just struggling.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, my new job just kind of worn me down to it. The kids doing their play just kind of drained me. Like, I mean, it just, a lot going on, and we're getting back in the swing of things, and we got some news. First, some news with us. We're changing up some of our Patreon stuff. That's right. Laura's like, what?
Yeah, what's this news? What you talking about, Willis?
What are you talking about, Willis? Feast your eyes on what? So we had shows going on our Patreon. We are retiring Brian's High in the Car. We are going to be moving and doing our Supernatural podcast twice a month. And we might be doing twice a month for Krypton Report for a while because we really want to build up some comics. We want to build up some things, and we miss doing Supernatural. So these are some things we are working on here. And with the Requel podcast that I do will be expanded upon in the Patreon, but you'll also get it on the Press Play Podcast Network's Fanfare, our movie review podcast. So check that out. You'll be getting that there as well. Just some extra fun to just kind of get you in the mood for some good old podcast listening. So that's
more shows.
Yeah. So that's you know, our Patreon's $1, and we still are doing our movie commentaries. We hope to hear soon. We will be finishing up all of the DCEU films.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be fun because we'll be able to. The idea is with 2024, yes, we will do Aquaman just because of when Aquaman 2 releases. But once that is finished, we'll be just kind of, you know, fresh and, you know, really looking at DC and where it's been. So it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, I look forward to some you know, other DC movies from the past, talking about them, watching them, talking about them. And
we're going to be focusing on that in 2024. It's kind of that, but we're also going to be focusing on comic book movies that people don't really talk about. I don't want to give examples, but we are going to discuss some things. We will do a special called The Year 1997 and what comic book movies looked like then.
The Year of Spawn.
Well, you know, we'll look at the 90s period. So that means we'll talk about like the Phantom, the Shadow, ones that people aren't always in the conversation of, oh man, the best comic book film there is, you know. So we'll be looking at that kind of throughout 2024 and some other things. So that'll be a fun discussion to be part of. If you haven't heard, over on the Patreon for Capes and Lunatics with Phil, we discussed 1999's Mystery Men. So that was fun.
That would be a good one.
So if everyone's like, what are you talking about? Well, that's kind of the point.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of obscure comic book movies out there that people haven't seen, or,
Just the 90s was the time of the indie comic.
Yeah.
You had Mystery Men. You had, just off the top of my head here, Men in Black. You had Ninja Turtles. Things that people don't think about, but oh yeah, those were comics.
Yep. They started as comics. I mean, like you said, The Phantom.
The Crow.
The Crow, yeah.
And with the Crow new one coming up, that's definitely something we're going to touch on. So look for that on the Patreon discussions. It'll be commentaries, but also just episodes and discussions as part of our Patreon fun of comic expansion. Now, on back to the DC news. In DC news, we have a premiere date for that holiday special. I put that in quotes. The Merry Little Batman. And the holiday season joined Batman Alfred and young Damian in an epic adventure to save Christmas in Gotham City. And Merry Little Batman premiered exclusively on Prime Video December 8th. And we have a poster that looks like a Joker witch.
Right.
I mean, this is something that I read when they talked about it years ago, back when they made that huge announcement with My Adventures with Superman and everything. And I was really excited. Just a new holiday special to watch every year that's DC and it's Batman. Awesome. I think that I now have a Thanksgiving special for My Adventures to watch every year for Thanksgiving. But then we saw the first animation picture and Alfred's face looked like a male genitalia. And I was like, what is this? I mean, it's almost right there on par with that Aquaman show that they pretend didn't happen, that they disappeared off Max.
Yeah, disappeared off Max and is not showing anywhere.
They was like, dang, we effed up.
And it's kind of they're just hoping, I guess, since it's Batman, that it'll sell more than that garbage Aquaman thing.
I'm going to attempt to watch it. I'm not going to deny it. Like, I'll watch it with the kids because I use them as a barometer, to see what works, what doesn't work. And if they're like, this is crap, Dad, I'll be like, all right, then that's what it is, But I'm going to give it a go because that's just how I am, completionist. And I tried with the Aquaman. I watched like the first 10 minutes of it and I was like, I can't do this. So yeah. So that's something to look forward to in your holidays, because it's always nice to have something added to just the holiday roster,
Yeah. Hopefully it'll surprise us. There have been some animated shows with like weird animation that have really stood up for, quite a while in that cartoon realm, Disney, Nickelodeon, things like that, where those cheap animations were actually able to, really stand up because the show was better than the animation.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So that'll probably be in our Christmas episode. So I'm still fighting the battle of what to do about comics with my local comic shop. It has threw me off completely on my comics coverage because besides just being wrapped up in life and in my job,
haven't been able
a shop to go to, has really just messed me up. So I apologize. We will get caught up on our comic discussions and reviews here shortly.
Yeah, I actually have to pick up Superman 870. Or 850. Superman number 7. Number 850, large, oversized.
Action 850. Yeah, it's...
No, Superman.
Is this? Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, it's Superman number 7 in this run right now, but it's Superman 870 overall. Or 850, I don't know. keep saying 870 because of number 7.
Yeah.
850 overall.
Yeah. Let's see. I was gonna say something. I totally blanked. Yeah, I gotta go to the comic. I'm going to go Saturday. Our comic shop's doing a Halloween thing, so we're gonna go up there Saturday, and I'm gonna try to get caught up on my books.
Yeah.
Wendy's is doing basically kids meals, DC kids meals. I believe they're still doing it, so that was cool. Check those out. They have little like character figures in them. Some more.
I need to go get me some kids meals.
I know. I went to McDonald's the other night to buy the kids the Boo Buckets, and they would piss me off because they all had the same bucket at the McDonald's. They said, "Oh, we have 2 different ones." I said, "Okay, well, can I get like a different one? Because I'm ordering 3 because we were hoping to collect all 4 in one sitting." And the lady gave us all the same bucket, and I just wanted to throw it back in her face. So
then you'd be the next person we see on social media throwing the kids the bucket back in through the window at the worker.
We will be at Motor City Comic Con on November 11th from 5. We are hosting a panel at 5 p.m. So come check that out. It's on the 85 years of Superman. Check that out. It is in Michigan, near Detroit. So check that out. Also, we got 2 new photos of Lady Gaga. That's a reference to Kelsey Grammer's pronunciation in Troll Hunter when he mentions her. Is it Gaga? Of Harley Quinn in the upcoming Joker sequel. It's still a year away, a little under. One's her in the rain, and she looks great, and one's a mugshot photo.
And she looks like a Harley Quinn mugshot photo, really.
So I think we're going to get a really great performance. And we're going to be talking about that next year as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, as a performance, I don't doubt that for sure. You know what I mean?
Oh,
as a Joker Harley Quinn, I'm iffy on what we're going to get.
Yeah. Just because, I wasn't sold on his Joker as Joker. And we've talked about that, and we'll talk about it more later. But here's some sad news. I guess Warner Brothers rejected an animated movie of Mortal Kombat versus DC.
Seems like a win-win. I mean, well, Warner Brothers keeps putting out those Mortal Kombat animated movies. I mean, they've got to be doing okay in that, right? And the DC animated universe movies have been coming out since 2007.
So they put out the 4th animated movie, and I didn't buy it. I want to watch it. Like, it's not to rent at Redbox, and it'll be streaming on Max on sometime, and I'm definitely going to watch it. I've enjoyed all 3 of there's Scorpion, and then there's the one like Defenders or something. It has Liu Kang on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Snowblind. And then the new one is Cage Match.
Yeah. I think the only one I haven't seen is Snowblind.
So have you watched Cage Match?
No. Up till. So I saw the first 2. I haven't seen Snowblind yet. And I haven't.
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I do like them. They're pretty interesting.
It's in my movies anywhere. You can check it out.
Ooh, okay. I haven't been in there in a while.
Let's see here. What other news I got? I have a lot. It's just trying to compartmentalize everything. This is an interesting little announcement. So New York Comic Con happened, and I'm trying to make sure I got as much of the news as possible. I probably missed some things, so I apologize if I did. But DC is officially done with Jeff Johns. So Jeff Johns moved into this new creator-owned thing called Ghost Machine with Brian Hitch, Jason Fabok, Peter Tomasi, Francis Manipul, Gary Frank, Brad Metzer, and more. And it just kind of feels like Image 2.0.
Yeah.
But it really feels like that wave of DC that happened that we all kind of just like fell in love with is leaving. Like Fabok hasn't done some DC work in a while. And no matter what you think of Three Jokers, his art is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm curious because we've all said that Jeff Johns is a great writer, but I've never written anything that Jeff Johns has done that's not DC based. Like, has he ever written anything outside of DC?
I know he's written for Image. I know he's at least had a book or more over there with Image, but other than that, I mean, I've never read anything outside of his DC work. And I mean, we talked about this recently. It's like he's been a big proponent of how the DC universe has been for the last 20 years. Bringing back Green Lantern, expanding that corner of the universe, bringing back Barry Allen, Flashpoint, New 52, Rebirth. There's been, he's written so many things. Infinite Crisis? Some people argue maybe their favorite Crisis event. So like, yeah, he's done a hell of a lot for DC, and he's really, made a name for himself there. He really helped formulate that universe as we kind of know it now. But then in the last, handful of years, I mean, obviously with the complications and the controversy behind the scenes for live action, mostly Justice League, but other things as well. But he's been a controversial just person to bring up. But then you look at some of his books and everything, and it's all just a mystery with loose threads hanging for other people to finish out a story. Like that's where he's it's where he's been lately, is like ideas without answers.
Yeah. I mean, it really started, I think, as he took on less of the comic book role and more of the film side, into Rebirth. We all know about how long it took for him to do Doomsday Clock, how the Three Jokers thing got kind of changed and pushed to the side. So it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting. So Jason Aaron is taking over Action Comics for a 3-issue arc, 1061 through 1063 for Bizarro. Will Tyler be reading? That's the question.
It depends on the. I'm sure it depends on how it's written, because if it's written entirely in Bizarro, Tyler will be skipping that one.
I'd be like, and to James on this segment of the podcast today. So Philip Kennedy Johnson is leaving Action Comics. I didn't see when his last book will be, but he is leaving Action Comics.
I did see that, and that is a little sad, because he's not doing Superman now either. He said he's not done with Superman, though, so see where that goes.
What does it mean, Philip?
Yeah.
What does it mean? So that is exciting. The DC, so just the DC Elseworlds brand is really coming back. And I feel like in a way, like maybe Mark Waid had a hand in this, being back and doing a lot of prominent DC books right now. And they're bringing back a sequel to Gotham by Gaslight, which will be a Victorian era Justice League.
And wasn't it the Days of Krypton or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah, it was supposed to like introduce Superman into that that time.
Like I said, there is stuff I've missed, people. So don't hate. Okay. There was
As long as I can plug in a little bit of information. Let's say we've shared most of the same stuff, so if I remember a little something you don't.
Let's see. We have more here. We got our first look at the cover of Superman 78, The Metal Curtain. And it looks cool. The art looks very animated. It's not the same person doing the art, but the same writer. It'll be a 6-issue miniseries again. Like I said, we will review that, but I will wait. I will purchase it in trade, and then we'll review it.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll just do it all as a one-shot story.
We're
going to be moving to that format on certain things.
Yeah. Well, my annual subscription just went through on my DC Universe Infinite Ultra. So, I got another year of comics coming, and with that coming out, I will certainly read the entire run on DC Universe, and then grab that trade when it comes out.
And that's our plan, everybody. That's our plan.
But the way it's structured, I'm sure it'll be better to talk about that Superman 78 sequel in a trade format, talk the whole story that way.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be written for that 6 issues. It's not going to be written for per issue.
Let's see. Other news that's made us very excited. We've announced the return of Elseworlds at New York Comic Con, and part of that will be Dark Knights of Steel 2. That's officially from Tom Taylor's Twitter.
Yeah.
Call it Twitter. I don't care.
Dark Knights of Steel 2, and it's going to focus, or at least, I don't know if that's going to be the primary focus of the story, but Deathstroke is going to be a Viking.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to see some different kingdoms outside of just the Kingdom of Storms and the Wayne L Kingdom.
This excites me here. Okay, and this says rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, people. Scott Snyder is returning to DC to develop DC's own Ultimate Universe.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I like Scott Snyder. I
feel like in a way Scott Snyder's been doing that his whole career. Like, hey, this is my this is my DC world over here, but I have it tied to everything. But I'm in my own pocket universe over here.
Right. It would be really interesting to see him tackle more characters. More characters in the DC universe, especially in kind of an Ultimates way. I really did like the Ultimates. It was a really compelling, different, modern take, especially on the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read some of the X-Men, but I haven't read enough of it, so I can't really comment.
Ultimate Spider-Man was great. I enjoyed Ultimate Fantastic Four. I don't really remember much of Ultimate X-Men, and the Avengers stuff is kind of what the start of for the MCU was.
Yeah.
And like we said before, was had the New 52 kind of just been this complete reboot, kind of like the Ultimate, this side universe, maybe it had done better. So I'm kind of curious of what their plan and thoughts is for that.
Yeah, but no, I'm definitely excited to see that. It is, for comic book fans, it's always good to give a jumping on point, and starting another Ultimates universe. That's kind of what the Ultimate was over at Marvel, was this jumping on point that you could get in and start reading. It was different, it was modern, it was fresh, and you could really jump in without having to be weighed down by 85 years of history.
Yep.
So, I mean, that might be something to try for, especially since they're bringing back the Elseworlds brand. I mean, it's kind of like you can kind of have the Elseworlds brand. I don't see why you couldn't have the Elseworlds brand in a ongoing universe like that instead of just one-off stories here or there.
I agree. I mean, and that's why it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I think Elseworlds can be a powerful thing. Alora agrees with us.
Yeah, I think she's interested in that idea.
So I feel bad that yesterday was Wonder Woman Day, and I totally forgot. I've been that busy that 10/21 is supposed to be Wonder Woman Day, and I totally forgot, and I feel horrible. So I made a recurring note in my calendar to celebrate next year. But McFarlane released its look at its upcoming Wonder Woman figure, and it looks pretty dope.
Yeah, it looks like it's from that Tom King run that's just beginning for Wonder Woman, which actually I think is my next issue up on my queue in the app. Number 1 just dropped.
Yeah, I read it. It was interesting. I have thoughts, and it deals with my thing that I think Wonder Woman's a very difficult character to write.
Well, you know what? What's really cool, considering that yesterday was Wonder Woman Day. Yesterday was also Alora's second birthday. She turned 2 yesterday. Her birthday is on Wonder Woman Day.
Yeah. So we will
definitely have to lean into that moving forward.
Yes, she's getting next year.
Yep, guess what she's getting next year. I don't care if she wants puppy dog pals for her birthday party. Wonder Woman.
Be like, but Dad, I'm 30. Take it,
Wonder Woman.
Take the bracelets.
Take the bracelets.
Oh man, that's awesome. And let's see. I think this is so. Speaking of McFarlane, November 8th, they're launching the Batman and Robin Build-A-Figure wave, which I'm excited for. With 4 figures. It's Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Poison Ivy, and Mr. Freeze as the Build-A-Figure. And I'm excited because I have my own shelf that's like Batman, and I've been getting the McFarlane live action versions of different villains, and so far I haven't had any duplicates. So it's gonna be kind of nice to just add another layer of movie Batman villains.
Yeah. Actually, that line does seem kind of interesting. I mean, I want an Alicia Silverstone Batgirl. I want that Nightwing Robin, where he was Red Nightwing before he was Red Nightwing in the New 52, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze. They need to come out with a Jeep Swanson Bane, though.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe that'll be their gold. Their gold label figure.
Well, it also blows, just same thought process. It blows my mind they didn't do a Anne Hathaway Catwoman for the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
So it kind of, whoa. Now, okay, so this last little bit of news here is, I got a couple more things. So Matthew Vaughn has a new movie, director Matthew Vaughn, coming up, and he was talking, and he went back to a pitch that him and Mark Millar had for a Superman trilogy. It was going to be a Superman trilogy with Lex, Zod, Brainiac, and the villains. And our biggest idea was Krypton doesn't blow up. It eventually does when Superman has grown up and suddenly there's a mass exodus. And I was like, that just...
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that just goes back to that J.J. Abrams thing. No. Part of the core of Superman's story is the planet has to blow up, and that's why he leaves.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that pitch was heard by Warner Brothers people, and then when they were doing the Man of Steel pitch afterwards, and they were like, well, how's he supposed to go back to Krypton? It's because they don't give a shit. They didn't know that it's blown up and that it needs to blow up. Otherwise, why else are you sending him off planet? Yeah. Unless you're doing this planetary civil war and
Right.
Jor-El and Laura are just being like the greedy people, and they're sending their child away from the planet so that they're not involved in this, surrounded by this war. Not doing it for anybody else, only their child. It sounds horrible. It sounds stupid.
just like the J.J. Abrams pitch. And then the last piece of news that we have, sadly, is we lost a Lois Lane. Phyllis Coats, at 96, has passed away. Phyllis Coats was in an episode of Lois and Clark, where she played Lois Lane's mom. Phyllis's real name was Gypsy.
Oh, wow.
I learned that.
I did not know that.
I learned that. You can see Phyllis as the amazing Lois Lane. I used to undervalue her, and I apologize because I've said she's my least favorite. No, she is great. Superman versus the Mole Man. Superman and the Mole Man. And the first season of The Adventures of Superman is where you can find Phyllis's performance.
Nice.
She was the last person of that cast to be alive. So now we have completely lost a part of Superman history and legacy. So Phyllis, rest in peace.
Yeah.
And now we're going to take a break, and you'll hear some cool things. So here we go.
What's up, everybody? Chase Smith here from the Chase Smith Podcast and Cavs on the Break NBA Podcast.
And I'm JD, host of the Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, and we are super excited to bring you a brand new show starting next Tuesday, the Fanfare Podcast.
The Fanfare Podcast is all about your favorite movies and our favorite movies and the best moments in cinema. To help guide our discussion, each episode will feature one classic, and we will grade this movie using a report card-like scale A through F. We're going to be grading categories like acting, directing, cinematography, the score, and even the movie poster itself.
And when we're not featuring a movie report card, we'll be sharing our movie rankings, franchise deep dives, actor and director interviews, and everything in between. Movies have been a major part of our lives, and we cannot wait to share our thoughts with you.
Our premiere episode will drop Tuesday, June 27th, and JD and I will be reviewing Raiders of the Lost Ark in preparation of the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on June 30th, the 5th installment of the franchise.
Join us on the Fanfare Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Here at Krypton Report, we believe in the power of podcasting, the power of speaking your voice and speaking something that comes from you. So here's a couple of podcasts you can check out with people sharing their voice.
I am Brian Peters, the creator and host of Gravely Amusing. For the past 30 years, I've studied the history of gods and monsters in pop culture and our world. As a student of theology and history, I've tried to understand evil and its impact on us. As a writer, I've tried to share this knowledge. As a comedian, I've tried to make people laugh as I do it. But as a man-child, I'm still that scared 7-year-old boy. Join me as I share the history of horror and sci-fi, discuss classic and modern pop culture, and share a creepy story or two. This podcast may scare you, it may horrify you, or it may leave you gravely amused. Listen to Gravely Amusing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever podcasts are found. Follow us on Twitter at Gravely_Amusing or on TikTok at Gravely Amusing.
Hi, I'm Taria Maynard, and this is my co-host, Jania Patrick. We're a couple of sisters in Central Ohio who created a podcast. Our podcast is called The Confessing Heretics.
The basic premise of the podcast right now, as we see it, is we're going to talk to you guys about our stories in religion, would you say?
This podcast is about sharing our truths, our religious traumas, and our histories. We'd love for you to join us on our journeys as we talk about our pasts and discover more about ourselves along the way. We will be featured on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just look for The Confessing Heretics.
We have a $1 Patreon. Yes, I know everyone asks for money, but our $1 Patreon each month gets you commentary tracks for releasing movies, DC movies. It gets you my requel series where I pitch ideas about movie sequels, prequels, or whatever. It also gets special bonus episodes of whatever else some of the friends of the network chime in and drop. So check that out for $1 a month. That's all we ask. Keep it cheap, keep it simple, and help us keep going. Check out the link in the show notes or Patreon Krypton Report.
Follow the link in the link tree or in the show notes below, patreon.com/Krypton Report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
And we're back. Woo, back to Tyler and the James. AR. I don't know why I'm like in this radio.
I was gonna say we're gonna have to come up with some kind of radio introduction. Like I got a station around here, and it's Dave and Chuck the Freak in the morning. So
I'm just like, it's Tyler and the James because it makes no sense. You're like, you make like some like I always think about Mr. Pig and Mr. Scream or whatever from Wayne's World 2.
Okay.
Like, yeah. But whatever. It's weird. Okay, so we've started our quest into Justice League action. It was part of our October initiative, and here we are. Like at the end of the month, we've only put out like 2 episodes because we put out some Patreon. We do have me and Solomon checking out The Batman versus Dracula, and what's labeled like it's weird. We talked about this. I'm going by the IMDb post and how it is kind of. On IMDb, it's broken up, but on my stuff, it's different. So just have to follow along best you can, people. Look for titles, depending on where you're streaming, because technically the first episode is 4 episodes. And that's how they released it, but then some things show it as the individual 4. So the next episode is Follow That Space Cab, which some places is episode 2. But Superman and Hawkman receive the help of an honorable space cab driver as they try to protect Mr. Mind from being captured by Lobo. All right. James's man, Lobo. La Hobo. This one is cool because, like, it's just like we talked about before. Like, it's cool because it's random. And, like, it doesn't have, like, exact connective tissue. But it's just nice because it is, you never know what the episode's going to be. Like, I was like, oh, Lobo.
Yeah.
And this episode technically dropped January 21st, 2017. With the space cabbie being voiced by Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, that was the surprising one. You know that voice anywhere.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite parts in this episode is that Superman does the crushing the coal to make the diamond thing to pay the cabbie. Because, like, his cab gets tore up and Hawkman and him are battling and they're trying to protect Mr. Mind. And he's like, money? And they're like, And Superman's like, yeah, hold on.
Yeah. Whoa.
Ta-da.
Allura Tripp. She's all good.
Good. Finding her Wonder Woman powers.
Yeah. No, it's pretty, it's a fun episode. It's actually an episode I've seen multiple times. Not particularly like seeking it out, but anytime you start it, it's being that second episode you see it.
Yeah. I'll tell you the one that I've seen the most when we get there because Solomon loved it.
I was gonna say, what is it? The video game one?
Dang it, James!
I like that one too. Well, I look forward to getting to that one.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, no, this episode's pretty good. I like Lobo, and it's funny how Lobo he's this bounty hunter, but he's like, all I need is this. You can have the rest.
Yeah.
Like that's actually kind of something I can see why they play up in the cartoon, kind of making him seem a little more like I don't want to say dumb, but kind of like, yeah, more like just a drinking dumb kind of bounty hunter guy. Because Lobo uses a lot of brute force and everything, but he's the best bounty hunter there is. So that's something that would that I think he would know, that he would have to bring back part of Mr. Mind, not just some DNA to prove that he was squashed.
Yep.
Because he recovers, he regenerates. It's like when you cut a worm in half, now you got two.
Yeah. It is true. But yeah, Lobo, he always cracks me up.
Yeah. This episode really gives you the Justice League action portion. Like it's action from the get-go. From the time Superman smashes into that cab until the end.
Oh yeah.
Superman, Hawkman versus Lobo and another bounty hunter.
I mean, it's intense.
So, yeah.
I like this one. I like it.
Yeah, it's a good episode. It's definitely in a childish realm, just the way Mr. Mind is like, ha!
I mean,
especially when he regenerates at the end. Yeah.
Like, what do we expect? So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know very much about Mr. Mind. I know he is like this primordial creature, and he's like immortal and has lasted like forever. But I really don't know what he can do and what he's about. Like, I was looking forward to maybe seeing that in the films, but we're farther away from that now than we ever were.
It's one of those things, like it's been retconned and changed because the whole Shazam universe keeps getting like retweaked by every writer to make things make more sense of how magic works and what exactly it is and the magic lands. So it gets convoluted, but Mr. Mind's super smart.
Yeah, that much I got. Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. The next episode was one that I thought was cool because it was the Nuclear Family, and this says it was aired January 28th, 2017. Firestorm's family values: the heat is on when the Justice League enlists the help of Firestorm. Taking a trip where it all began, Firestorm encounters a not-so-all-American family. And this is kind of cool because this is like, the Nuclear Family, a set of villains that we would later see in Titans, done, differently in things. But he is home. I love that it's, this episode is basically focusing on these like cybernetic nuclear fallout shelter surviving machines that think they're a family, and it's basically about Firestorm. We see the Martin Stein inside his brain and everything, and the kid's got his little Davy Crockett hat, and it was just kind of neat because it's just Superman and Wonder Woman make an appearance at the end, Batman makes an appearance at the beginning and the end, but it's just kind of neat because yeah, holy cow, this is ironic. Just in as we're recording, we got an alert with McFarlane's Lobo. Dang, James, you checking that out, man?
Yeah, the Lobo figure. It's a gold label, Amazon exclusive, and it's Lobo and his Space Hog.
I mean, that's just kind of weird, as we just talked about Lobo in this previous episode of Justice League Action.
Yeah, I want to see that because I've been wanting to get the old Lobo figure, but now I gotta get the Space Hog one too.
I'm just like,
I thought it was super topical. We just finished talking about it and like,
That's why I
whoa,
was
it's
like-
right there.
McFarlane heard us in the universe and was like, hey, guys.
Make it happen.
So, all right. Yeah, Nuclear Family. Great, fun episode. Heat is on! With our good friend Firestorm, which I think Firestorm is a character that gets regulated often and undervalued because so often does he just become like the Human Torch, but he's so much more. And I think that is if you have not read Doomsday Clock, it is something in Doomsday Clock that is extremely prominent and part of a very strong emotional section. So, highly recommend Doomsday Clock.
Yeah. Speaking
we're
of
talking
our
ab-
Jeff Johns earlier.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, we talked about this, that next year at some point we'll be doing I don't want to say a deep dive, but we will be discussing Watchmen and all of its kind of stuff as we're supposed to be getting that Watchmen animated film.
Right. Should be good. I don't think we've actually ever sat down and watched Zack Snyder's Watchmen.
We haven't. We kept
So-
trying to find like a time. So like we're going to do that as part of our DC films, other DC films next year. And yeah, so Watchmen will be something to look forward to next year. I do want to make one more kind of sad announcement, it's been, as of this weekend, it's been a year since Henry Cavill's appearance in Black Adam. And it's just interesting it's been a year and how that's kind of set with us.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've been pretty clear on our feelings on that whole thing. I mean, we were really excited to have him back, only to have the rugs yanked out from underneath us.
And I understand like where James Gunn comes from with I get it. I get it. Because you're going to try to clean up your stuff. I get it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So, all right. Now, have you read Steelworks number 4?
I have, yes.
You want to take us into that? We'll discuss that, and then we'll discuss another book, and we're moving on.
Yes. Let me get that one. I got it here somewhere. Oh, no. I had actually read it on the app, but I do have the book right here. All right, so Steelworks number 4. We pick up where we last left off, where Lana Lang is getting her Superwoman red powers coming back. And John is able to, Steel is able to kind of take her down. Well, not take her down. She's not particularly a threat, except for like the overcharge, which is something about what this episode is about. The reason why Connor had the massive heat vision blowout that he had, and why Natasha had some problems with her suit, and why in the last issue, I believe it was the last issue, where we got some the talk of the metal alloy like being within her, like being part of her now in some respect. I mean, they haven't expanded upon that or anything, but that's where we are. He's got Steelworks locked down, running tests on Lana, and we have Silver Mist sprint in through the building because he can move and run through objects. He can phase through objects while he's moving. So like, it's interesting too, because he I wonder if things like thick vault doors would like slow him down, like slow down his phasing particles or whatever. Like if he runs through it, like if he could get stuck. That's a very interesting concept, just because he's he's like run, he's like run faster, run harder, you know what I mean? And
Jump higher.
yeah.
Man, I'm not gonna let you poison me.
Right. So
everybody gets that they're amazing.
he gets through the vault, and he gets the 0 point energy reactor that he's looking for. But as the alarms go off, they go down. John goes down to the vault. John's intelligent. He knows that he can't exit the vault with the reactor in hand. He would run through, and the vault and the reactor would stay put. So it appears he sets it up for to be destroyed, to blow up, and he throws it out to get destroyed as he runs and makes his escape out of steelworks. But John hid the real 0 point reactor, a 0 point reactor, in a family photos vault, hiding in plain sight. So like a little safety deposit box. So it wasn't out in the open. It was just a decoy. Or maybe I have that backwards, because sitting out there with her, he has it in his hand, and within proximity of it, she should be electricity. She should be, charging up. Her power's coming out and everything.
I always find the red, like the idea of like Lana Lang, Superwoman, fascinating.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna ever do the Superwoman red and blue again. If Lois is gonna charge up too, you know what I mean? Like if she got in proximity of this, because it's the thing that created this was the Genesis from Warworld. What they were fighting for back when Atlantis had it, and it created a giant kaiju monster from the Genesis energy. Walker, he has a team infiltrated to go in and clean up, and he's able to sneak people in and get the things that he needs, and he's got it. He's got the 0 point energy reactor. Now the fun begins. Next, Mech Madness.
Oh joy!
Yeah, be interesting. The first few issues, I think, of Steelworks were heavy dialogue. Lots of world building, lots of setting up what John is trying to do. But I think it really has rolled into a good story so far in 4 issues now.
All right. So, okay. Here we go. It is time now to discuss a book that we have read that we've been trying to talk about. But we're just going to kind of do an over discussion of it. Let me pull up my notes. Just don't remember my notes are. Lex Luthor, Man of Steel. All right, here we go. Lex Luthor, Man of Steel is a 5-issue monthly American comic book limited series written by Brian Azzarello and illustrated by the great Lee Bermejo, which features Superman's nemesis Lex Luthor as the protagonist. The story explores Luthor's motivations behind being a constant foe of the Man of Steel inside a city that has largely embraced him. Luthor views Superman as a demigod who looks down on humanity and believes that in order to save the human race from extraterrestrial threats, Superman must be stopped. Now, what's interesting is the book was originally called Lex Luthor, Man of Steel, and was released publication date December 28th, 2005. It was then Luthor, Lex number 4, 2015. Okay, that's when I first read it. Was in that when it was just Luthor. Then the version that I have that you, lovely man, got me was Luthor, the 10th anniversary edition, when it was now printed under the Black Label DC, which was July of 2019.
Yes, we have the same trade, the Luthor Black Label book.
Which is funny because it's the Luthor 10th anniversary edition, but it's like more than 10 years. Like 2015 when it became Luthor was the 10th year, but it's the same version, just now different cover under the Black Label moniker.
Yeah, just how Joker came out, on how they re-released Joker by Azzarello and Lee Bermejo.
I don't remember if I have it under that cover or not.
That is the cover I have my Joker under.
I think I do have it under that one. Because I was just like buying trades up and I didn't realize it at the time because I was just recollecting. But this, I could say and read like this huge plot synopsis, but just what did you think about this book in general? Your thoughts?
It's a pretty. Hold on.
Yeah, you're fine.
All right, we're good. Yeah, it's a very interesting book. You in the synopsis there, because it's from Luthor's point of view, he's considered like the protagonist of the story. Mm-hmm. And the way that Superman is drawn, he looks very much antagonistic to Luthor. His eyes are always red, the scene where Batman intercepts the kryptonite, and it seems like Superman is here to fight him now because of it. Mm-hmm. But the things that Luthor does in this book, the way he's threatening the scientists, the way he's got people holding others up like they were in a car accident. He's got his people holding him there at gunpoint to the head. He clones this woman, creates Hope.
Yeah, I was going to ask you your thoughts on Hope.
Yeah. He creates this character of Hope, which is basically a woman Superman analog of his own choosing, of his own design. And he's physically attracted to her. He ends up having sex with her and then sends her off to her death.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, he does. He sleeps with her and then sends her off to her death. She goes and he does something. He does something to her, like sets her off, like a self-destruct. So even though we say that Luthor's a protagonist in this book, he's still just evil,
Yeah.
He literally creates this being, has this seemingly romantic relationship with her, at least on her side, you can tell from her dialogue, but then with him, it's purely lustful, and then he sends her off to fight Superman and sets her for self-destruct. And Superman has to be the one to save the day, not necessarily save her, because he can't do that, but stop her from destroying too much, because the explosion takes out a tower.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it really is.
And from still from Luthor's point of view in the book, he's still trying to be the good guy. Even though he's doing this horrible stuff.
He justifies everything he does.
Exactly. It's like that story. It's like from All-Star as well, all the good I could have done for the world if it weren't for you. It's like, well, you've had plenty of chances and opportunity to do good for the world, and you still don't. You're still only focused on your own megalomaniacal ways.
It's crazy, and it is,
It's a very good book. It's a very good read, and he's one of our favorite artists. So the art is phenomenal the whole way.
It's nice because he doesn't often do a full book. It seems like more recently Bermejo has done a lot of covers, alternate covers. There's the Superman number 7 has a cover that I have to go track down that I'm mad about because my comic book shop closed before I got it. And yeah, it's just frustrating because it's just one of those things like, oh, I love his artwork. Like, Batman Noel is every year a read for us as a family at Christmas time. We'll get there probably eventually one day, but like his Batman Damned is interesting because it really feels like, I think if you start with Noel and then you read, I don't know if it'd be Noel into Luthor, then to Joker, then into Damned, and then maybe Dear Detective, but there's definitely like a through line of a continual story of his Batman.
Yeah.
Because Bermejo has his own Batman. And there's definitely from Joker into Damned. So
for sure. Definitely that one.
But this one just, the way he draws Superman in it is like from Lex Luthor's point of view. So Lex is definitely always big, or Superman's always looks scarier and more menacing and more villainous because that's the way Luthor decides to show him.
Yeah. Yeah, in Luthor's mind, Superman's the bad guy, holding him and the rest of the world back from being better.
But that is Luthor. And I want to thank James and the Allure for being here on this episode of KRRR Radio.
We're going to have to workshop that.
Yeah, you're like, dude, just chill. Okay? But yes. So that is the episode for today. I hope you all enjoyed. We are back. We are working. Life is busy and complicated, but we do our best. So remember.
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, the Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our information.